On a cold, rain-washed night, a woman once known for power sat alone on the edge of a sidewalk, mascara running, heels broken, and a termination envelope clutched between trembling fingers. Her world had collapsed in a single day, and the city moved past her without a second glance. She whispered into the emptiness that she had nothing left, unaware that the universe was already shifting towards something unexpected. A car slowed beside her, only to speed away again. But the night was not done with her yet. Somewhere behind her, a small voice wondered if the lonely lady on the ground was okay, and in that innocent concern, her fate began to change. When a battered pickup truck pulled over moments later, the night grew warmer. A single father, weary but kind, stepped out with his daughter. They saw not the scandal, not the headlines, just a shattered human being trying to stay upright. The little girl approached first, unafraid, offering comfort with the sincerity only children possess. Her father followed with a jacket and gentle eyes. Their kindness pierced the darkness surrounding the fallen CEO, and just when she tried to stand, exhaustion claimed her. She collapsed, and the single dad caught her before she touched the ground. In his arms, she felt safety she hadn't known in years. He carried her with the ease of a man accustomed to rescuing others without being asked. She protested weakly, ashamed of her weakness, but he silenced her fears with quiet assurance. His daughter reached for her hand in the back seat, offering a simple anchor in her storm. Yet even as hope flickered, danger remained near, the black sedan that passed by slowly, watching, waiting. For the moment, though, she was safe. The small family brought her to a 24-hour diner, a soft-lit sanctuary against the night. She hadn't eaten since morning, and her hands shook around the warm cup of coffee placed before her. She spoke haltingly of betrayal, of board members who had framed her to protect themselves. As she trembled under the weight of her confession, the little girl slid a drawing across the table, of a superhero with her smile. The simple innocence broke through the CEO's hardened shell, but peace shattered when her phone buzzed with a message full of threats. Fear tightened around her chest as she read the words of the man who once called himself her partner. But the single father calmly took her phone and blocked the number. His presence steadied her collapsing world. Yet the night had more shocks to give. The diner owner recognized her from the news, whispers spreading, eyes following her. The woman who once commanded boardrooms now cowered under the judgment of strangers. The world believed she was guilty. She knew she wasn't. And the burden was crushing. But the man beside her shielded her from the stares, offering her a place to stay, just for a night, just until she was safe. She hesitated, but the little girl's soft plea not to let her be alone pierced deeper than logic. And so she followed them home. Their apartment was tiny, but warm. The kind of place where love lived in the corners. The little girl offered her a princess blanket to sleep with. But sleep didn't come. She lay awake staring at the ceiling, overwhelmed by memories, fear, and the foreign feeling of kindness. Through the thin door, she heard the father whisper to his daughter that they would help her, no matter what. And for the first time in days, she felt seen. Morning arrived with the smell of pancakes and quiet laughter. She sat at their small table, embarrassed by her presence in their simple home, feeling out of place in a world so unlike her own. But the warmth around her began to soften her edges. Until a news alert shattered her fragile peace, public accusations, her name dragged once more across screens. Her face drained of color. Later, she told the man everything, the loss of her job, frozen accounts, her penthouse seized, her legacy twisted into a weapon against her. But he offered solutions, lawyers, temporary shelter, and hope. However, hope took a hit when a subpoena arrived, demanding her presence in court. And yet, he didn't step away. He stepped closer. The journey back to her old office was brutal. As she collected the remnants of her career, paparazzi and onlookers swarmed. But the single father stepped in front of her, shielding her body with his own, while his daughter held her hand with unwavering loyalty. In the crowd, she caught sight of her ex-partner smirking in triumph. Fear stabbed at her heart. And yet, in the shelter of that small home, she found moments of peace. She moved into their spare room. She learned chores she had never done. She laughed doing laundry with the little girl. And in the midst of these simple routines, something strange happened. She began to heal. She found a picture of the little girl's late mother, understanding more of the gentle man who had rescued her. She applied for new jobs, guided by his steady presence. In a small firm with humble walls, she faced a boss who had seen her scandal but chose to believe there was more to her story. It was the first sign that the world wasn't entirely against her. She got the job. Slowly, she and the single father grew closer. He taught her how to cook. She taught his daughter math and reading. They laughed often, the kind of laughter that comes from shared healing. She felt herself gravitating toward him, drawn to his warmth, his quiet courage, his unwavering compassion. Once, she almost called his home her own. Their first unofficial date was simple, just a quiet dinner, no luxury, no masks. They shared truths, heartbreaks, fears. She admitted she didn't trust easily. He promised patience. Their faces drifted closer, breath mingling, but they stopped before touching, a slow burn still building. Then, darkness returned. Her ex-partner targeted her with new accusations. Fear washed over her again. But the single father took her hands and told her they would face everything together. Meanwhile, danger crept closer, someone watching them from across the street. Pictures showed up on her doorstep, photos of her taken secretly. She broke down, and he called a police friend. The little girl cried because she couldn't bear to see Elena afraid. Elena comforted her, even through her own terror. And the man made a promise, he would protect them both. Healing took root. For the first time, she went to therapy. She shared wounds she had kept buried since childhood. The single father supported her without judgment, a steady presence in her fragile recovery. Their emotional bond deepened, turning vulnerability into connection. Life shifted again. She excelled in her new job. Her ideas impressed. She earned trust, respect, even a promotion. Just as she began to rebuild financially, a headline emerged, new evidence in her scandal. A witness surfaced, revealing her ex-partner's manipulations. Hope roared back to life, but her ex fought harder than ever. Threats escalated. The single father installed cameras around their home. And Elena prepared for the trial that would decide her future. The final confrontation unfolded in court. Her ex stared her down, trying to intimidate her, but she was no longer alone. The presence of the man and child who had become her home steadied her trembling heart. She spoke boldly, presenting the truth she had carried for too long. Evidence exposed her ex-partner's lies. The judge ordered his arrest. Outside the courthouse, the weight of months crashed onto her shoulders. Her knees buckled. And the single father caught her again, just as he had the night she lost everything. She sobbed into his chest as Lily wrapped her tiny arms around her waist. In that embrace, she found a freedom she hadn't known in years. She realized she didn't want to leave their home, or their hearts. Her dreams reignited. She wanted to build an ethical company, one rooted in transparency and compassion. Miles offered his garage as a starting point. Together, they transformed it, painting, building, dreaming. Lily learned entrepreneurship in the sweetest ways, watching Elena create a future built on integrity. They grew closer. So close it was impossible to pretend anymore. They danced in the kitchen under soft lights. They shared late-night talks on the balcony, wrapped in blankets. They laughed at Lily's jokes until their sides hurt. Elena told him he saved her life. He told her she rebuilt it. And slowly, she trusted him with her heart. But fear lingered. She confessed she was terrified of loving again. He promised never to hurt her. And under the soft glow of lamplight, they kissed for the first time. Slow, deep, emotional. A kiss born of healing, not desperation. A kiss interrupted only by Lily cheering with innocent joy from the hallway. And from that moment on, everything changed. Elena launched her new company. Miles became part of her support system in ways big and small. Lily began introducing Elena as her family. And one morning at breakfast, without thinking, Lily called her mommy. Silence filled the room. Elena's heart shook, not from fear, but from overwhelming love. She knelt, hugged the child close, and assured her she never had to apologize for loving. Together, the three of them formed a future built on warmth, trust, and second chances. Elena's new company grew from that tiny garage. The single father stood by her side. And the child whose innocence had saved her became the reason she kept going. Because sometimes, when life breaks you, it is only making room for the people who will help put you back together. And for Elena, that broken night on the sidewalk was not an ending. It was the beginning of the greatest love she never saw coming. A new home. A new family. A new life. And a future full of hope.